Hello and welcome to the FFW Podcast with me, Andrew Gibney. Once again, Rich Allen is dying of the plague. So with me this week, we've got Jeremy Smith. Hi, Jez.
Hi, how you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. The both of us are kind of stressing a little bit with wedding plans at the moment, although yours is a lot more stressful than mine because you decided to get married in like, what was it, 6 weeks or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm getting stressed. I'm like, yeah, I've got like 19 months. You've got like 19 days. It's a bit of a different situation. One thing I just realized today is we're doing the podcast live on YouTube. Hi, anyone listening now? We don't get to have like, intro music anymore, and I'm quite a bit sad. I don't take us to Stromae when I ever edit it, so I'm a little bit sad by that. But we don't care.
There must be a way to add it. I'll have to look into it.
That's a lot more work than I can really be bored with, if I'm honest. This week we're going to talk about a little bit on the youngsters that are breaking through Ligue 1, Lyon, Toulouse, Marseille, and a bit on Bordeaux. If you've got any questions and you're listening live, get them in and we'll get them answered during the podcast. Jez, what did I start with? The young kids that are breaking through. We've got Ousmane Dembele, who when we spoke about a few weeks ago when Rich was on, hat-trick against Nantes and that emphatic win on Sunday. That's 9 goals this season. I don't think there's any teenager in the sort of top leagues in Europe that's scored as much as Dembele. You've got Kylian Mbappe of Monaco signed his pro contract, who's looking like a really good talent. Is he turned 18? He's still 17, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
You've got Adam Munas at Bordeaux. And before we get into sort of them as players, do you think the way they're breaking through, is it because of how good they are? Or is it also a sort of mixture of because of all the talent that's sort of left the league on, you're now getting a chance even younger? And also this league's got a massive reputation for youth, that's why we do the 50, but they are seeming to be getting younger and younger. I wrote down like 7 nowadays, sort of teenagers that had made an impact this season. Is it more because of the sort of the outflux of players, or is it just because when you're good enough, you're old enough?
I think it's a mixture of the two. Yeah, as you said, if you've got the talent, then you're going to break through at some point anyway. And, it's always been the case. There's always been good players coming through at 17 or 18. But certainly because of the number of players, so many of the teams seem to have a complete clear out every summer. And it's probably only going to get worse or better, sort of more so, with the kind of Premier League money going up every year as well. So yeah, the youngsters get the chance a lot earlier and a lot more of a chance than they do in, say, the Premier League. Dembele actually, came close to leaving Rennes in the summer because he thought, it was about time that he had a chance. And although it was Montagnier that kind of brought him in the end, I think it was Montagnier in his sort of setup who weren't that keen. They thought he was a little bit of a lightweight and not quite ready yet. But he in particular has come into the team, and it's almost become his team already. His stats since November time have been unbelievable.
He's only been there. So I think November he made his debut. It'll be the end of October, and yeah, without him, they look lost, and that was shown on Sunday with that magnificent hat trick. And there's rumours Barcelona were there on Sunday. Obviously, I've seen Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal all linked, and I think I scared Rich when I saw somewhere that there was a release clause like €5 million, which I hope was completely wrong. But the other problem we're going to have is, like, imagine if he left to Barcelona in the summer, he's not going to play for them. It's like, I hope someone has seen somewhere the likes of, like, I suppose Tovan leaving early and other players that sort of leave and don't get that break. He really needs to stay at Rennes, regardless of who comes in for them. And I think this is something that Mo Ali was getting at, is that Ligue 1 owners and people making decisions have to show a little bit of a backbone, a little bit of fight to keep these players. It may not be backing a manager with like loads of money to spend in the summer. Back a manager by keeping the police players at the club for longer than what they are at the moment.
I think in Dembele's case, I was reading a profile of him today, and it sounds like he's quite well advised. I think his main advisor is a sort of old family friend from when he was a kid. He chose Rennes because of all the teams that were after him when he was a kid. They were the ones that sort of helped his whole family move with him to make sure that he was well well looked after.
Mm.
And Rennes, of course, have got a very good reputation for bringing through youth anyway. So, and in this profile, it said that kind of the vague intention is that he sort of plays for them for 18 months, which would hopefully mean another season. But you know,
even
teams
that,
like
18
Barcelona
months.
come calling, and it does turn your head. And then with the money that Premier League or teams or Barcelona can offer, yeah, as you said, I mean, it's that's not even necessarily anything to do with Dembele. That is kind of, you know, does Ruello or Kubis, if he's still there, whatever, do they think, well, let's take the money? And I agree with you. I think no, you know, he could be worth astronomical fee in 2-3 years, and also for his sake, you know, for France's sake, for his sake, a young career. I think it would definitely do him good to stay for another 2-3 years.
And you look at Divock Origi this season playing like Carling Cup games to Liverpool. What has he really gained from signing that loan deal? He's got a career stalled for the last 2 seasons now. You can just see the same thing. If you go to Barcelona, you might end up at bloody Aston Villa on loan for a season, like the other Adama Traoré. Are you gaining anything from that? I'm quite sceptical about loaning young players in this sense to play sort of first team games, and like what does the loanee club really have to gain from developing you as much as one of their youngsters? And
I think he's got a very good example in his team. I mean, I know, you know, he's had ups and downs since, but you know, Gourcuff went very early to AC Milan and sort of vanished off the radar for a couple of seasons as well. So, you know, hopefully he, if anyone, you know, as well as everyone else, hopefully Gourcuff can give him a bit of advice and say, yeah, stay here. You've got a good setup. You're definitely guaranteed to play. It's only going to help you.
And every year you look at Ligue 1 and there are examples for the sort of good and the bad ways of it. Even you look at Paul George and Tep, who was at Auxerre, was linked with going to the Premier League, went to Rennes and obviously got better. He's struggling with injury at the moment and can't quite get 100% fit. But that was the right move to make. That was the next logical step. And people like Silvestre and people, you think of old Rennes legends like Sylvain Viltord, and you mentioned Gourcuff, these people, I think, should be giving more advice to these kids to like stay where you are. And I know it must be hard. It's easier for me and you sitting here, but if an 18-year-old's getting offered crazy money to go to a team where I've seen Dembele talk about his admiration for Neymar, yeah, it's so hard to say, nah, do you know what, I'm going to stay here, I'm not going to go to Barcelona. Then you end up breaking your leg and that's you out and you'll never see the new camp unless you're going as a fan. It is really difficult. I'm not sure how, if I was a parent and my kid was linked with that sort of move, how I would act. But I think for the player's career, for the player's future, you have to. I think you have to be playing games. I think it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're playing consistently at a high level, you'll get better. I think if you're getting loaned around, like Jean-Christophe Babek has been at PSG, no matter how good your talent is, are you ever really going to progress until the Aubameyang examples, great loan, Dijon, Lille, Monaco, even St Etienne, finally signed for them, and now look where he is now.
Well, another AC Milan example is Mbaye Niang as well, and he's kind of having an okay, well, to this latest car crash, he's having an okay season this year. But imagine if he'd stayed at Caen for another couple of years.
Yeah, he could have been in the France squad for the Euros. You never know. It's a bizarre one. The positive one is Mbappe at Monaco signed the pro contract. He was like, we're just going straight away. And I think the worrying thing for them is probably more Monaco than him, because anyone who shows a bit of interest and gives you money to make a profit and they're going to sell you, he's one that they need to keep for a good 2-3 seasons if they can, because they've got the finances to sort of say no to the big guns, and they've got potentially Champions League football. There's no reason to look beyond Monaco if you're a player like that. No,
there isn't, but you could say that about 20 players over the last 2 seasons for Monaco. So just because he signed a contract doesn't mean he's not going in the summer. But again, hopefully he'll stay.
Hopefully.
He just had a kind of cameo role at the weekend, sort of actually did a really good defensive shift, but gave away the corner that set up the equaliser, and then almost kind of set up the very late winner with for Carvalho by winning a free kick with a brilliant run down the right. And yeah, I mean, we've seen very little of him so far, but he really looks like a talent.
Well, someone asked me, like, it was like 2 weeks ago, what do you think of him? But I was like, he's played 60 minutes in Ligue 1. It was before he started against Nantes. I was like, let's see the guy play first. I mean, yeah, it looks really promising, but let's see him play. That's what we're hoping now we get to see at Monaco for a couple of seasons. One team that's going well with youngsters at the moment is Lyon. We talked about it over the last couple of weeks. Was when they touched on their magnificent win of the weekend over Guingamp, and they've got. And it's sort of backing up what we were saying about the forward line, Maxwell Cornet, and I know it must pain you, Jez, to watch him doing well for Lyon, and Rishi Gazelle with Lacazette in the middle, showing that he can play that sort of frontman role, I think, as long as you get people around him. Add Fekir to that, and God knows what can happen. Jez, they've now got 5 wins in the last 6 games. They're the only team in that sort of congested section that's shown form. I think there was only 2 teams out of that group that won more than 2 games in the last 6. Are they looking like, I'm not going to say nailed on, but they're looking like the most likely candidate to finish third now, aren't they?
I think definitely most likely candidate and a decent chance of even second. They're only 6 behind Monaco. They've still got to play them, and Monaco's still got a couple of tough matches left, including PSG. But you just never know with Lyon and with all the other teams around them. I mean, Rennes on their day can beat anyone, on another day can lose to anyone. And it's Rennes-Lyon this weekend. I think if Lyon lose, they could end the weekend in 7th. So
yeah.
Who knows? I mean, if I had to put money on anyone, it would definitely be Lyon. But
in an inconsistent season, they're definitely showing the most consistent. I was looking at the table earlier, and Bastia are the only other team right now that have won more than 2 of the last 6 games.
I think we mentioned it before, and it's such a cliche, but it's Lyon's spine that suddenly started working. I mean, Lopez has had a decent season anyway, but Mtiti's just been immense. I think Gonalons is back to his best, and Lacazette is back to not his sort of goal scoring best. Although he's quietly only 1 off second place in the table, and obviously
he got 2 on Sunday. I think it's been more impressive as sort of link up play as well, getting involved.
I think it's been excellent. I read a thing about how, I mean, it's kind of no shit Sherlock, but how he ran something like 3 or 4 kilometers more than Zlatan did at the weekend.
I think I ran.
But it said that sort of in an attacking phase, actually, it was very similar. But it's the difference is how much he helps the team. He comes back. He helps to defend. He helps to sort of transition from defense to attack. And yeah, I think last year he was excellent with Fekir, but you could sort of say Fekir was the team player and Lacazette was the one putting it all away, putting all the chances away. This year, Lacazette is, he's their top scorer now. He's 1 off second place in the charts, but. Last week especially, and this week too, it wasn't just about the goal scoring. It was, coming back, linking up, and bringing Gazelle and Cornet into it as well.
It's going to be interesting to see what Deschamps thinks of this in a sort of France national team point of view, because maybe that was what he felt was not going to sort of be good enough for the France team. He's a great striker, but you need to give him the opportunities, and now if he's helping create them. I know there's been the big story today has been in goal. Kante's been apparently on the provisional list. I just wonder, Jez, do you think the way he's played, the change of the way he's played, is going to help him get into the France team for these 2 upcoming friendlies?
I think it's now or never. I still think Deschamps not entirely sure about him, and he seems quite harsh on players who are given their chance and don't really take them. The other obvious example is Payet.
Yeah.
But, especially with Benzema and Valbuena out of this squad, presumably, and Benzema almost. I suppose conceivably they both still could, but I don't think either of them will be. I think it's probably Deschamps plays safe there. So it's a great chance for one or both of Lacazette and Payet to take a chance if they get it. I think last year a lot of the talk was, Lacazette's been great, but he can only play in a front 2, and Deschamps never really liked that. But now he's really proving he can play with any kind of formation at the front. It's
going to be interesting to see if he makes that squad. I hope he does. I think even if he's not going to start, he's proven that he can score goals. So why not put him in the squad? That's a really good option. Quick thoughts on Kante. I think definitely deserves at least a look at the squad to see what he can do. I can't see the reason why he'd put him in instead of someone like Moussa Sissoko, which is a team sort of second bottom in the Premier League. Why would I think Kante fills that role that Sissoko did for Deschamps for so long?
I think Deschamps likes Sissoko because he can play so many different roles in that team. So I think he's a very good squad player.
I can see similarities between the way the two play. That's you could put if you put Conte in the right of a 3-4. I'm sure you could do a job.
I mean, apart from maybe Diarra, I think Conte's been the best French midfielder this season. I mean, he's outperformed Cabaye and Schneiderlin. I think he's probably more. Obviously, we don't know at international level, but I think he's more reliable than Pogba even. I definitely think he deserves a go.
And Pogba gives you something different. I was speaking to a good friend Adam Digby today about Juventus stuff, and he's getting a bit disillusioned by what Pogba hasn't done this season more than I think he's a very good Vine player.
Yeah, I've spoken to him about it as well, and I was quite pleased that he wrote a couple of articles saying that, because I thought it was blasphemy and it was my guilty secret that I felt like that.
Another member of the Grumpy Old Man Club, so it's probably no surprise. Another, I suppose, a few fans that'll be grumpy at the moment are fans of Toulouse. First of all, I'd say get well soon to Pascal Duprat, who had some heart issues this week after only being at the club for less than a week. They did get a 1-1 draw at Marseille on Sunday, which I suppose on one hand you say it's a good away point, but against Marseille, you're thinking, God, we could have maybe got a win there, especially the Velodrome. I think no matter what happens now, Jez, I think we can, although we are predictably bad at predictions, I think we can safely say Toulouse will be playing in Ligue 2 next year. They are currently 9 points off safety behind Guingamp. It's just not looking. They've only had 4 wins all season. Where they're going to find another 4 from, I very much doubt it. I
can't see it unless Ben Yedder goes on some ridiculous scoring streak. I just can't see it.
And I wonder if the appointment of Duprat is a sort of nod towards that, because he has been there. He's done that side of it with, I'm sure he's been there with Evian, or have I got that totally wrong? When you look at the base they've got in that team, Abel Lafont, Issa Diop, Alexis Blin, Zinedine Machach, Bodiger, that is a team that's sort of ready to show what they're capable of in League 2 and really push on. Yeah, they probably won't have Braithwaite or Ben Yedder, but I'm sure that they can find someone to score goals in that league with all those sort of young talent around them. And it might not be the worst thing. I know it's going to be horrible money-wise, and I hope they can survive that side of it. But I think from a playing point of view, I don't think it's going to be the worst thing to ever happen to the Rose City down there.
I think, first of all, in terms of what we were saying earlier about young players and possibly on the move, apparently there are a lot of scouts at the match to watch Diop the other day, so I don't know if he'll be there next year. But I agree. I mean, we've said it for 3 or 4 years now that Toulouse are stagnating and just not going anywhere. And I think it might be good for them. Just it sounds ridiculous, but some kind of change of scenery, just to just for something to be different in the club, and then sort of it'll give them a bit of a run up. Hopefully for them, they'll go up next year. Hopefully with Metz, who obviously aren't until this year, and then kind of approach it next year with a good group of young players who've got another good year's experience. Have got the sort of boost of morale of actually winning a few games this season.
Well, it's a different mentality. You go from not being the whipping boys, not trois, but from losing most weeks to winning most weeks, and you go into a new season. Yeah, you're still going to be one of the relegation favourites, but with a sort of more positive mindset. I suppose we could say that about Troyes, because they killed Ligue 2 last year and they look where they are. But it must be a better sort of scenario to go into, rather than we scraped relegation last year, we survived, then we have to survive again, and it's all, you don't have that winning mentality that turns the club around.
Again, it's like it's a good city, a good stadium. There's no reason, sort of financials aside, but I don't think they're in any worse a situation than a lot of other teams. There's no reason why they shouldn't be a decent top half of the table Ligue 1 club, and maybe this is what they need to sort some of their ideas out.
Definitely. Good luck to them for Duprat, good luck to them next season, looking likely in Ligue 2. Another team possibly looking over their shoulder at the moment is a team that they played on Sunday, Marseille, and Jez, things is going from bad to worse. We've mentioned the home record on numerous occasions, still only 2 wins this season at the Velodrome in the league. Yeah, they beat Montpellier in the Coupe de France, they beat Braga and Groningen in Europa League, but that home record is just crippling them. And I think it just shows you that it's not just the team because of how good the away record is, that they're still 4th in the league, and it's the pressure's mounted on Michel, isn't it? It's really everything's going against him. I'd be shocked if he was there next season. I think the way they are now, they know they're not going to go down. They know there's not a lot probably to play for. There's no reason to sort of rock the boat any further and just let him play out the season. But it's just a dire for a club like this to be where they are. I think Mandanda said it today. It's just sad to see Marseille in 13th.
Yeah, I think he was asked after the match something about chances of still making the top 3, and he basically laughed the question off. Said with 13th, don't be ridiculous. And he's been such a good professional in general, such a good servant to Marseille, and when he's sort of standing in the goal mouth looking disgusted with his team's performance, there's a problem.
It must be so frustrating because there's not a lot he can do. It's not like you're a centre back and you can push the ball out of defence and make things happen. You just sort of stood there watching, and the frustration must be unbearable.
I think he actually saved them again this week with a couple of superb saves at the end of the match. But I think up till now, Michel seems to have avoided a lot of the stick. I know he got a bit for the periods where they had a lot of injuries, and people in the club were saying he was pushing them too hard in training. Although they should be used to that from Bielsa last year. It does seem that in the last week or 10 days or so, it's turned a bit against him. There's a bit more focus on his sort of responsibility in the bad results, and he finished didn't even finish. He played a lot of the second half with a 4-0-6 formation. And I mean, L'Équipe said that whereas Bielsa, for all his faults, was a kind of very proactive manager, Michel is very reactive, and part of the problem is he's kind of trying to please all different opinions that are coming at him from different directions. And I think he really, for better or worse, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But he needs to be his own man, pick his team, and just work with that. If it wasn't for Lafont having a superb performance, Marseille could well have been out of sight on Sunday, whenever it was. And okay, they ended up chasing the game and getting a sort of scruffy equaliser, but to a point, he could have had the strength of mind to say, we are outplaying them. Okay, they got a free goal, but have faith that it is going to come good. I don't know if it's I think sort of post Mourinho, there's a few managers who think, I'm going to do some crazy tactical thing, and when it comes off, everyone's going to say I'm a genius. But the problem is, when it doesn't, you look like an idiot.
Yeah, when looking at the stats from Sunday, they had 20 shots on goal, which should be more than enough to score more than one. But they also conceded the 18 as well, and I think that playing the way he did, starting with the 4-4-2, it's just like Rolando and Rakikano and Kulu was out. I just wouldn't trust them without more of a defensive sort of midfield approach. And after the changes started getting made, I think there were 2 shots in the last half an hour, and that shows you that.
That's the thing. Once they equalise, you think they're really going to push on, but after they scored, the only team that looked like they were going to win it was Toulouse.
So to make those changes, you want, if you're going 4-0-6, you would expect to have more chances, not even less chances, which shows that does he really know what he's doing? It is just throwing people at it and hope something that works. And I think you mentioned Mourinho. I think the example we're thinking of is the game against PSG when they threw strikers on, and look at the score. It's not a tactical genius. If it doesn't work, they go out and everyone criticises it. And I think this is where Michel has come unstuck, that he's tried this, it's not worked. They've drawn again. Another game without a win at the Velodrome. And just, I mean, you look at the team overall, and it's not a Marseille team to remember.
It's not a great team, but it's not a 13th place in Ligue team either. And
it's definitely not.
And you wonder if Montoya and Diarra weren't there.
Yeah, God, and Batshuayi as well. Obviously, that spine is strong, but it's around it. It's weak. The bench, especially with Lucas Silva from Real Madrid, has been dreadful. You've got Tovan. I don't know what is he there? DCJ Chigili from Juventus, who even Adam joked when he made that loan move. Ramal's been a good servant, but you're never going to bring Ramal on to save a game. It's just, I've never been convinced by Barada. I mean, Stephen Fletcher won Man of the Match according to WhoScored.com, which kind of says it all. It's not a good situation. I think as it's safe to say, I think Michel's not going to be there next season. I'd be shocked. And again, I don't think it's a case of Marseille fans are what signings. When they wanted a new striker since God knows when. I imagine Batshuayi will go. That'll give them some kind of money to spend. I think it has to be this next decision on who takes over has to be the right one. I mean, they can't go another season, 2 seasons of mediocrity. And I think it has to be someone like a good young French coach, or a sort of a more underrated outside of France. And he probably, I'm going towards Jocelyn Gourvenec or Patrice Garand. And it may be a stretch to like, well, how would they go to Marseille now? Because it's still Marseille, they're still the biggest supported club in France. Jeremy, one of those two would be the best way forward for this team. Can you see? I mean, Gourvenec's done it on a small budget. Garand's done it on a small budget.
I think Gourvenec's the obvious one. I mean, he played there. I think the year they got to the UEFA Cup final, finished second. I think his time, even if they stay up, I can't see him being at Guingamp next year. I think it's time for a change of scenery for both of them. I think it would be the most sensible move. The concern with Marseille is, hopefully they learn their lesson, but just think that they're sort of, I'm sure I've said it before, but they're sort of Newcastle-like in that they feel that they have to have some really big stellar name, some kind of messiah, and it's not always what you need. They need a bit of stability, maybe someone who's not going to grab all the headlines, not going to make it all about him, which I think both Bielsa and Michel do in different kind of ways. And, he's just going to get his head down and work. You know exactly what you're going to get with him. I think he'll give them the stability that they need.
I think Garand sort of covers that as well, the same ideal, not a big personality, just gets on with the job and gets it done. And there's just played some really great football this season, and Gourvenec has in the past. And I think it's time for a bit of stability. I think Michel, he hadn't done much apart from the Olympiacos. It's a name, isn't it? Or former Real Madrid World Cup winner Michel. Yeah.
Don't think his quotes about his ambition to become Real Madrid coach helped either, just because it antagonised Marseille and made him look stupid.
Well, then when Rafa Benitez gets that job, you think, well, anyone can get that job, especially if you're an ex-Real Madrid man. One team who does have a young French coach, which kind of goes against completely what I've just said, Bordeaux, who, with Willy Sagnol in charge, are currently 12th. And we brought this up just because you said, surely he's under pressure now. And I'm kind of like, I'm looking at it going, well, how much pressure is he going to be under? Because they are 12th. The chances of Gazalek and Toulouse catching them, to me, are very, very, very slim. And I'm looking at sort of performances and how they got on. Yeah, they drew one each with Gazalek at home, which is not a great result, but it's kind of a bit of respect to Gazalek. They did have 12 shots on goal. They did have the chances to win the game. Gazalek defended really well. And again, like did sort of Angers last week, trying to look at why has this gone wrong. And I mean, there's been a lot of changes in the back four. the last 3 games, that's been sort of chopped and changed at least 2 players every time. That's not going to help you. I think Diego Roland is having a season from hell. He's been dreadful. Diabate's been injured, not doing as well. And then I think the biggest ones are, you look at the losses of Wabi Kazri and Henri Saivet. How much pressure can a coach be under when you have to sell your 2 best players halfway through the season?
I think the problem is that they're playing pretty bad football beforehand as well. And maybe it's a bit not as bad, but the same kind of thing as Toulouse. They've sort of been playing, a team like Bordeaux have always been known for playing decent football, and they've been bad to watch for ages. And, after Giro, everyone thought Sagnol was kind of the new big star manager. It's going to be better. And it hasn't got better at all. And, what we're saying
has he had the players to play any better, though?
Possibly not, but I think there is a bit of talent there, and they should be playing better football than they are. And again, they should be higher up the table than they are, I think. I mean, with Diabate as your centre forward, you can't play that attractive football, I don't think. But, the fans are pissed off. He really pissed off, what we were saying about Michel just now. He really pissed off Trio this week by also talking about looking for a bigger job and that kind of thing, which again just seems inappropriate.
It's one of those, unless you're leading Ligue 1 or at least second, shut up about going to a bigger job. Do a bigger job where you are first.
That's the thing. I think he's not doing himself any favors. Sorry. Yeah, as you said, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down. He's not doing the worst job in the world, but I think he's kind of put himself in the headlines a little bit too much. And so maybe there's too much focus on how well or not he's doing when there didn't need to be.
I think it's tough when you take 2 players of that quality and that importance away from you and to expect more. And yeah, they haven't played the greatest football under him. When you called it out from the start when everyone was getting carried away, was it 7 games unbeaten at the start of last season?
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think I would give him at least till next January and see, okay, say there's no one else to sell really, apart from people like Sani, or there'll always be people leaving. But you've got Unas, who we mentioned before, looks like a very talented young forward. Other players that you can sort of start building around again and see what he can do. And there's always going to be, but he's not going to have the Europa League next season to sort of try and juggle and then really see if he can build something. If again by January he's doing absolutely diddly squat again and they're looking the same shitey team they have for the last 2 years, then yeah, you got to think maybe it's just not the right fit. But I think it's a bit harsh. I mean, they are still 12th. They're only 7 points off the Champions League. Yeah, they've only won 1 of the last 6 games, so that goes against their favour. They've won 9. They've only lost 9. It's a very mediocre season. But when you factor in the Europa League as well, and they showed that I always hark back to that game that Liverpool went to and how much they showed in that game that they could play with the better teams. They could. But I think it's been a lot of factors against them, so injuries and yeah.
But I think that's the problem. I mean, you could say the same about Marseille and Bilbao. It almost works against them when they have a good performance because it highlights.
They can be so good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marseille have shown that away from home most weeks, so they can be good. It just doesn't work at the Velodrome. I mean, I really hope, part of me really wants Sagnol to turn it around. He seems a very genuine, nice guy. But yeah, maybe it's just not the right fit for the way you go back to those Bordeaux teams with Zidane, you go to like Gorkuf and when Will Todd was there, and yeah, there's a lot of legacy there of the team that's just playing a bit average, crappy football. I suppose we should touch on, if you're listening to this on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, PSG play Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Wednesday night, the second leg of the Champions League. The big story, Jez, I suppose, is the possible absence of Blaise Matuidi and Marco Verratti. And a very simple question is, can you see PSG advancing without those two in the midfield?
I think it will be a lot harder. And we talked about it last week. Matuidi is the legs of the midfield, and Verratti is the sort of guile, the spark, I guess. Like, Motta's a metronomic passer as well, but Verratti's the one that you're going to look to create something.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds like Matuidi's possibly more likely to start, but even without one of them, I think it's a big loss, and it will make it a lot harder. I still think it's doable, but yeah, I'd much rather they were starting with both of them.
I think if it was at the Parc des Princes, I'd want Verratti more. I think at Stamford Bridge, I'd want Matuidi just for that outlet.
Yeah, I mean, with the lead to defend as well, probably helps.
Yeah, I'd rather have, but both of them were just. I was looking at some very geeky passing stats today and looking at Verratti's rise. I think in his first season he was averaging something like 57 passes a game, and it's up at like 96 now. And that it shows you as he's sort of grown, he's grown into that role. And I thought Motta's might have dropped, but Motta's has gone up to like 101. There's the two of them just passing it 5 yards between each other. But Matuidi's was down to like 50, 60, which shows you that it's not what he does on the ball, it's sort of that off the ball style. And I think Rabiot was somewhere around the 60s, which shows that. And I was doing it per 90 minutes. If you do it per game, it's a bit harsh because if you play like 5 minutes at the end, it's not quite your fault. But he was around the sort of 60s, 70s, which shows he's kind of getting there. But if you had to play Rabiot in place of Verratti or in place of Matuidi, you're just not getting that same energy and tenaciousness. And I think it's going to be very, very tough. I think it's going to be. I'm not going to make a prediction until I sort of know who's able to play. Because if they can get those two, even just for 60 minutes or 45 minutes each, just to give them something, I think it's going to be very tough. And I think it's going to ask a lot of either Rabiot, Pastore, and even someone like Zlatan to drop.
Also, there's a reasonable chance it could go to extra time as well.
Yeah, definitely. Another 2-1 would be taking that. It's so tightly poised. I mean, you said, yeah, I know we joke that we dislike PSG, but I'd love them to go through. I think this is so tightly poised. You weren't interested when the draw was made. You were a bit bored by it. Slightly more interested now, or still? Am I seeing the Partridge gif of the?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of both. It's always going to be a good match, not because of this made up social media based rivalry, but yeah, it's just. At this stage, most of the teams left are decent. So a matchup between two of Europe's best teams is obviously going to be good. And obviously with the extra French interest and can PSG keep their sort of annual progression and Chelsea really on their way out? It is interesting, but it's just like I just would have liked a different tie.
Different challenge. I think it's so important for PSG especially with the recent results. We only one win in the last 4 league games. They need to show that that's been for a reason, that they've been doing it and sort of switching the team around to win this game. Because if they don't win it sort of puts the whole of the sort of French league in jeopardy. It's like, well, you get PSG to run away with it, but they still can't get past a weak Chelsea team in the last 16. The league must be shit. And you can see people saying that. That's the obvious outcome if PSG don't get any further. I think if PSG get to like the quarter semis, you can say, well, yeah, they're running away with the lead because they are this good. I think it really that's another reason why I kind of want them to go through, to sort of validate that they are as good a team as they have shown to be and as strong as they've shown to be this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want them to go through. As we said, it could be that it's not their strongest midfield playing, and I don't know who it would be, but say Stambouli and Rabiot is not Matuidi and Verratti.
No.
But I want them to go through. I want them to kind of give a good impression of Ligue 1. For what it's worth, at least now a team in Ligue 1 can turn around and say, well, we beat that team. I think the Montpellier match of the weekend, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that was a pre-Champions League match. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think PSG could say that about Lyon.
No, God no.
So yeah, I think it is an important match for them. We've spoken before about how you can't judge it as simply as, well, second round, quarterfinal, semi-final.
No. It's who you play and how you play.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they could even, in some way go out with their heads held high. But
So
yeah, I'd much rather, they should be progressing.
I think that's tough. I think before the draw, you can say, well, you can't just say last 16 because they might get Bayern, they might get Barcelona, etc., etc. But I think when you get Chelsea and you look at how they played this season and how PSG played, it was a kind of game that PSG had to win. Was the players missing skews that? But I still, I don't know, winning 2-1 the first leg. This was the 1-3-1 the first time we went out. Yeah, I think it's difficult to show progression and get knocked out at this stage.
I mean, I said last week, I think the 2-1 was actually harsh on them. I think it's just Courtois had a great performance, but
on the same way, they could have gone 1-0 down to Diego Costa's headers. It's such a small margin, these things that are turned, and I think it's going to be as close again. So
yeah,
good luck to PSG.
And this Chelsea team are unbeaten in so long as well. It's not quite the team that qualified for this stage.
And you can see that from the first leg that they were still a very good team with very good players. And it's bizarre what happened to them in the league, and I think a lot of that comes down to Mourinho. But I won't let you get on your high horse about that. I think that'll do us for this week. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully we'll have Rich back. We kind of missed him, but hopefully he's over the plague. This weekend you got Monaco Rand on Friday. Monaco can keep that run going. Toulouse, Bordeaux. I mean, if Toulouse can win that does put Sagna under pressure. Montpellier, Nice. You've got Nantes on Sunday, which could be a good battle. And the big one on Sunday night is Rennes against Lyon. Make sure to check out Ousmane Dembele on there, and Cornet, Gazelle, and Lacazette up front. That's a cracking game in store there, hopefully, with a really good atmosphere. And from myself and Jeremy, thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.